Another method to mount a remote networked file share is to use the Autofs service. The benefit of using the Autofs service is that the share is unmounted after a period of time and automatically mounted when the user needs to access the resource. The main configuration file for the Autofs service is located at etc auto.master. Let's take a look at this file. We can use this file to configure mappings to other files that contain specific mountings that we wish to use. For instance, the top of the file points to a file named etc auto.misc that will mount a resource for the /misc directory. So let's take a look at that file. In this file, we can see some examples of locations and devices that can be automatically mounted when the user accesses them. If we look at the entry for CD here, we can see that a directory called /misc/cd will be mounted with the ISO 9660 file system, read-only, and other mount options, and the device used is /dev/cd-rom. When a user wants to navigate to the /misc/cd directory, the Autofs service will bring this mount online and it will be active for a period of time, and after the user leaves that directory, the location will be unmounted, therefore saving system resources. Below this, we can see some further examples on setting up Autofs mount options. Let's try a very simple example where we use the AutoMounter service to mount our remote NFS share. We have removed the NFS mount from our system and from our /etc/fs tab file, so the Autofs service is the only thing we will use right now to mount the NFS share. The first thing we will do is add an entry to our /etc/auto.misc file for the NFS mount. Just like the examples above, we are creating an entry for NFS, which the Autofs service will use to create our /misc/nfs directory when the share is accessed. Then we are specifying the NFS file system type. Next we are using the INTR mount option, which is short for interrupt, on the NFS share. What that means is that if for some reason the NFS server is not reachable, then our system won't hang when trying to access it. Finally, we are giving the share location just like we did when we manually mounted the share in our previous video. Once we make our changes, we will need to restart the Autofs service. Next, let's do an ls on our /misc directory. We don't see the /misc/nfs directory because we haven't accessed it yet. Once we change into that directory, the Autofs service will mount the share for us. And we are now in the /misc/nfs directory, courtesy of the Autofs service. Now we will leave the /misc/nfs directory. By default, after 10 minutes, the /misc/nfs directory will no longer exist as long as nobody accesses it. We can also create a separate configuration file to create an Autofs mount point by following the format of the auto.misc file. First, we will need to modify the etc auto.master file to point a new directory to our Autofs mount point. We will create this line at the bottom of the file. This line is telling the AutoMounter that the /remote directory will be created from the contents of the auto.remote file. Now we will create the auto.remote file, which will hold the directives needed to create our mount points. We are using the same directives as before, but this time we will end up with a /remote/nfs directory. Again, we will need to restart the Autofs service. Now, if we do an ls on the root directory, we can see that we have a /remote directory now. Now, do an ls on /remote. And we see nothing there. But if we navigate to our /remote/nfs directory, we will be able to enter the directory. Take a look at the man pages for Autofs and AutoMount to find more detail on the AutoMounter service.